This is the current makeup of Toronto City Council. 44 people. In the upcoming municipal election, there would have been 3 more, so 47. Premier Doug Ford gets his way, it'll literally be cut almost in half to 25. Bob Richardson, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think some people will drop out of the race?
I think there's no questions we'll see some people decide not to seek re-election. I think there'll be some tough scraps between friends and a few tough scraps between foes. And I think some councillors are still trying to make their decisions whether they seek re-election or not. They're running the numbers and seeing whether they have a chance, and also want to check to see what their neighbor's doing, to see whether they're running or not.
So this will be the new makeup of the wards, and what do you see as being some of the most interesting races?
They're good races right across the city. First one I would take a look at would be Scarborough Southwest. Interesting race is Scarborough Southwest. It's 2 semi-right-leaning candidates there. The budget chief, Gary Crawford, and Councillor Holland, who's been really the councillor pushing the new economy in Toronto. Both are incumbents. Both have been around for a while. Both are friends, but it'll be a tough scrap between those two.
Right, that's interesting.
This is a really interesting seat. Councillor Wong Tam, very well-known councillor in the city, left-leaning councillor, seen as having done quite a good job, pitted against George Smitherman, who wants to make a bit of a political comeback, the former Liberal Deputy Premier, and also mayoralty candidate. So that would be a very, very interesting race and a bit of a Donnybrook between those two.
Yeah.
Third one that I think is interesting to look at is Humber River Black Creek. It pits Giorgio Mammoliti against Anthony Peruzza, again, 2 long-term councillors. These two have known each other for 3 decades. They were both NDP MPPs in Bob Rae's government. One moved to the right, the other one stayed at the left, and this would be a very, very interesting scrap down there too as well.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
No matter what. Now, a lot of people believe that this is going to make City Council more efficient. So coming up, we're going to take a look at the pros and cons. Once again, this is the current makeup of Toronto City Council, 44 people. And Bob Richardson, looking at all these faces, some would say that's argument in itself.
That's a lot of folks.
To cut it down. What do you think? Do you think this is going to make City Council more efficient? Well,
look, it has the potential to do that. I think most people, whether you're on the left or right, think there is some dysfunction in Toronto City Council. So it has the potential to do that. But there are other things that need to happen to make Toronto City Council run better. In terms of streamlining the agenda, the amount people talk, how the agenda is organized. So there's a lot of things like that. Internal plumbing, if I could call it that, that needs to be fixed too as well. On the con side, what could happen is a reduction in service for residents. If somebody is dealing with 50,000 people and now is dealing with 100,000 people, there is going to be a reduction in terms of the service you get from your city councillor. So I think that is one of the critical things that's important. And oversight of development projects, oversight of big projects in the city. Councillors, if you're going from 47 to 25, will have less time. And as a result of that, the oversight function, you've got to worry about that a little too.
And the point you have made is that the competition is going to be so stiff, so if the idea is to bring in new faces, that is just not going to happen.
You know, taking a look at this, if you go down to 25, I can only see 2, maybe 3 areas where new councillor would have potential to be elected. So really what you're doing is you're reducing it, but it's going to be almost all incumbents. I don't think that's good as you're trying to make council more diverse, add more women, more people of color, and have it more reflective of the city. So that's one of the negatives I'd say too as well.
And I mean, I guess some people will say it's not necessarily a bad idea, but the way that Doug Ford has gone about this is...
Well, it's a little Wild West. Yeah. I mean, people have been out canvassing and campaigning for 10 weeks. So that's a little problematic, and people have spent money on brochures and signs and shirts, all with wards on them. All that needs to be scrapped, and you need to go back at it. So you know that's also a little bit problematic. But at the end of the day, you can weigh some positives, you can weigh some negatives. We'll see how it works out.
We shall see, and we'll be watching. Election coming up in October. Thanks so much, Bob, for being with us.
Thank you, Pam.